Hi guys, it's been a while since I've done a pickups video, so I thought I'd go ahead and do one here, and I'm going to start off with a huge pile of original Star Trek books here. The original series is probably the series that I have the least number of books for. Not anything in particular, I do like a lot of them, just for some reason haven't run into as many over the years, and my focus has always been definitely Next Generation and Deep Space Nine books. Picked up a bunch that I didn't have, super cheap at Goodwill in the bargain room actually, so dirt cheap, a whole bunch here. Very happy to add that to our ever-growing Star Trek collection, which is at a couple hundred strong by now. A lot of cool ones, and one thing I like about these is I love the artwork. I love the covers for a lot of older science fiction and fantasy books, especially I think really maybe like 60s through the early to mid 80s I think is probably my favorite. Then the 90s. I'm not a fan of the trend of a lot of books in those genres now using a lot of the real people and a lot of weird looking kind of CGI effects added onto it. It's kind of the same thing with movie posters, the same idea where I used to love those old hand-drawn movie posters. Look so much prettier, so much more creative, and I don't know, I like the art on a lot of these so much better, and I can't wait to go through and read all these. It'll take me a while, but go ahead and start reading through these. A ton of great Star Trek books, always great to add Star Trek, especially since this past year's book sale. Hardly found any. These seem to be kind of disappearing from this area. Who knows, maybe I'm buying them all and there's none left, but that's about it for Star Trek books. Got a whole bunch there, a few other odds and ends books. V, which I don't know if you've ever seen this series, not the more recent series, but the actual original 80s miniseries and then TV series, a book based on that. That was a really good one. I actually haven't seen the remake series. I don't know why I kind of missed it. I still want to go back and watch it sometime. Kind of curious to see what it's like. Always great to get some Heinlein in the collection, and ones that I don't have, because there aren't that many of his that I don't have, and I like this certain edition. I like the different cover here, so I like that. And the magazine of fantasy and science fiction from May, what is this? Look at the date here, May 1970s something? I think it's like 72. Yeah, 25th anniversary, so this is pretty cool. I love getting some of these little Pulp Fiction old magazines here. Really cool to find, especially when you find them in a Goodwill bargain room. And even with this old type of paper, I'm amazed it's in great shape, because sometimes stuff in that bargain room is just destroyed. And another fantasy book here, or sorry, science fiction book here. Another science fiction like romance, and I'm not normally one to enjoy that type of thing, but every once in a while I'll actually find a science fiction book that's main theme or subgenre of science fiction is romance that's actually really well written. It's one in a million kind of thing. A lot of them are like Harlequin trash, but every once in a while there'll be one that's actually pretty decent and surprisingly decent. You never know where you're gonna find sometimes. Only one really good manga pickup recently that isn't something kind of for the resale pile. I definitely want to check this one out. I've not heard of it before, but Brain Powered. I've not heard of this one before. It's volume 1, luckily, so I'll be able to check it out and see if it's one we want to continue looking out for. I love being able to find manga for 25 to 50 cents and being able to just be able to see firsthand if it's something I really want to collect, or just the ever-growing manga collection behind me here. It keeps shifting over to these shelves, and eventually it's probably gonna take over here and push that out. It just slowly grows every couple of months. And moving on from books, I didn't add any Laserdiscs in a while. The last pickups video was the last time I found Laserdiscs. You just don't find them around here. They are just non-existent. People don't even know what I'm talking about most of the time, so don't really see them very often. Only one DVD add-on here, Stargate SG-1 Season 9. This is one of the favorite series for both myself and my wife, so it's great to add more of that into our collection. Gotta have a lot of Stargate going there, a lot of sci-fi, and I added a whole bunch of VHS, and every once in a while, it's not something that I'll actively collect like Laserdisc, and it's not something that I have as a staple like DVD where I want to have this series, so I get it on DVD. And VHS is kind of the odd random find if it's something very nostalgic from my childhood, or a really odd cover or a weird version. Sometimes I'll get that for the nostalgia factor. It just kind of odds and ends, not something I'm actively looking for normally. A movie that I really enjoyed and only watched the first time maybe 3 or 4 months ago, pretty recently, but The Smallest Show on Earth. Really good movie. I watched it originally because it's a Peter Sellers movie, and I'm a huge Peter Sellers fan, and this is one of those few that I have never seen before. A great underrated little pick here. Definitely one you should check out. Fantastic. I have a problem saying no when I find Jackie Chan movies, no matter what they're on. So a movie I already have in multiple other formats, but Jackie Chan's First Strike, Police Story, 4, I think it is. So another good movie there. Rumble in the Bronx. This is something that Rumble in the Bronx and then Red Bronx, the original like Hong Kong version, something to have on Laserdisc and DVD. But I wanted to pick up the VHS to re-add into the collection because it's very nostalgic for me. This is the first Jackie Chan movie I ever saw on VHS back in the day. This exact same version. I don't know if it was re-released in any other form, but this version of Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx. Such a great movie. Definitely not one of my favorites now, but very nostalgic. I have a lot of feelings attached to it because of Jackie Chan. And I finally added the original Pink Panther to the VHS collection. For some reason, this is the one I didn't have. I don't know why. I had a bunch of old Pink Panther series VHS that were my dad's, and they're kind of the one thing that I have left over from after when he died, the one thing that was his that I have great memories of, that I have attachment to. And for some reason, I don't know if he lost it along the way in certain moves or whatever, but the original Pink Panther wasn't included in that, and I have it in other forms, but now I have it on VHS to add to that collection. Very happy to have that. And aside from Jackie Chan, there's really only one other thing that I end up picking up on VHS all the time that I have in other forms, and I don't really need it, but sometimes it looks really cool, and I just kind of can't really not get it. It's something like this. Star Trek Trials and Tribulations. It's literally only that episode of Deep Space Nine, but it's fantastic, cool, unique cover to have this singular episode, and this to me is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek in general. Any series movie, it's definitely one that's in my top 20. Like, just a fantastic episode, and some of the most impressive special effects I've ever seen. I mean, very few series now can even top what they did in this episode, where they actually put the cast of Deep Space Nine into that original series episode, and it's so seamless. Even just watching it again on VHS, I haven't watched it in a while, and I put this in and watched it, and it looks so seamless and fantastic. And it wasn't just a gimmick either, which they could have done just kind of a special effects showcase. It's actually a really funny episode. It's a really entertaining episode. It's really good. So I got that, and speaking of V earlier, I found V, the original miniseries, part 1, V on VHS, and this was a lot of fun. Haven't seen this since I was a little kid, maybe probably like early to mid 90s was the last time I saw this, so really cool to have this again. I really want to get the Laserdisc box sets of V from Japan, but I never seem to see any of those up there, and if I do see them, they're way too expensive with shipping, so eventually down the road kind of thing. And one oddball that really goes to show the kind of thing that I'll randomly grab on VHS, there's a ton of these sitting in a bin in various conditions, but they had Columbia House Collector's Edition VHS sets of MASH. And there were a whole bunch in there. I sorted through all the ones that were in decent shape, not kind of falling apart, and just picked out 3. You know, I don't need a whole bunch of MASH on VHS, something that will have probably 2 to 3 complete sets on DVD with all the different forms, so I don't really need a lot, but these were just so cool. And being a huge fan of MASH, I just had to grab just a couple of them. They were less than $1 a piece, so a couple of them I picked out ones that have some favorite episodes from I think they're all from the first 3 or 4 seasons, the ones that I grabbed. They actually were grouping them together based on theme, not in chronological order, so it's an interesting collection. You might have some episodes from season 1, 2, and then like 4 on one VHS, so kind of a cool thing here. I enjoy going and watching these, and I love adding things to the MASH collection. One of my favorite shows ever. Gotta love it. Next, moving on to video games, something I usually don't add a whole lot to the collection, PC games and big box PC games. I'm much more of a console guy. I only kind of add what were childhood favorites on the PC and Mac side normally. So this is an unusual for me to add a couple of big box PC games, but this was really cool. I have this on the Dreamcast already, Prince of Persia, and this is probably my favorite in the series. Played the original back in the day on the computer, and then I think it was the Super Nintendo version I also played, and then or of course that really well-known trilogy by Ubisoft on the GameCube and Xbox and PS2. But I really like this one, and I feel like no one ever remembers this one even exists. I'm pretty sure it was only on PC and the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast version. But this is really cool just because of the big box. Really cool to get this version. It felt a lot like the Tomb Raider games, more so than even the trilogy on Gen 6 systems. That to me felt like a Prince of Persia with Tomb Raider controls in a great way, because I love Tomb Raider, and I just really enjoyed this one. I liked the art in it, I really like the atmosphere of it, I think even more than most of the other Prince of Persia games, especially newer ones, so I just think that's a kind of a hidden gem, a forgotten game in that franchise. And then I picked up two other really cool things. The last two things here, these were a really fascinating find, because it's just kind of like, why is this here? In the Goodwill bargain room again, almost everything here, like with the exception of some of the VHS, was in Goodwill bargain rooms over the past couple of months, just in there with a bunch of broken and dirty stuff. For about $2 a piece, found Mario is Missing, big box here, and Mario Teaches Typing. So just really cool childhood favorites that were so odd to find. And Mario is Missing has some writing on the cover here, isn't in perfect shape, but the fact that it's together at all is actually pretty cool. It is missing the manual, but you know, it has all the diskettes here and everything. It actually has the warranty thing here, so it's not bad for being that cheap and that kind of a weird little childhood memory. Not something I want to pay a lot for, so you know, paying $2 is a pretty good deal for me there. But the Mario Teaches Typing is perfect. I mean, it is just in immaculate shape here. And then on top of that, it's absolutely complete. I mean, it's in just perfect shape, and it was sitting under a huge pile of random dirty stuff and broken things, and it was actually together. I mean, everything looks like it's in great shape. I was very, very surprised. Everything's in here, manual and everything. Everything looks like in great shape. It looks like it was barely used, if ever. Probably given to, you know, a kid on birthday or Christmas, and it's like, oh look, a Mario game, here you go, and it's educational, and the kid's like, great, see you later. That was about it. So it's in pristine shape, absolutely fantastic for $2. Gotta love it. Something really cool here. So anyway, guys, that's about it. A little bit of everything here, just movies, books, video games, everything. A lot of interesting stuff, and a whole bunch of stuff that I don't typically pick up, so that was really cool. Have you guys found anything really interesting lately, or are you just kind of saving up and waiting for Black Friday at the end of the month? I kind of want to get this out of the way here because stuff was piling up, and I know we're going out for Black Friday again to our usual places, avoiding shopping malls and stuff, obviously, but yeah, I wanted to go ahead and do a really cool pickups video, a lot of kind of interesting, odd stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.